I feel love, I feel love, I feel love, I feel love. What do you get when you cross a neurodiva with the dance floor? A fucking love story. That is what. This is something I've been dying to get into over here for the longest time. It's my specialist subject. The exploration between ADHD, disco, house music, nightlife. Have you ever wondered why most ADHD people, neurodivergent people, make up the dance floor? Punters, behind the scenes, production, DJs. There is a reason, and half of it is scientific as well. But the other half is that we are so fiercely led by feeling. And when something becomes our special interest, we ain't chill about it. We're not just interested, we are so hyperfixated on it. So if you can make it your job, if you spend your life on the dance floor as a punter, it is fueled by that and a sense of belonging that we're going to get into. But let me tell you where it started first, because I feel like my journey into music, finding music, runs parallels with the history, and I don't think that that is a coincidence. So disco was built by people that weren't welcome anywhere else. They felt a bit different, black, queer, Latino communities. And these groups were not in mainstream venues. They weren't welcome, they weren't on radios, so they built their own space. They built our dance floor and they danced like their lives depended on it. And to be honest, in most ways, it sort of did. Funk and soul were the bones, but disco gave them the body. Then something that can only be described as a spiritual experience took place in the late 70s when Donna and Giorgio sat down and casted a spell when they created I Feel Love. It was so ahead of its time, electronic, hypnotic. We know what that track sounds like to us today, but can you imagine hearing that in the late 70s? It would have sounded like something from the future. And essentially it was, because that track became the blueprint for house music that didn't even exist yet. So from all of the makeshift underground dance floors of the 70s to the basements of Chicago in the 80s, anyone who didn't fit in outside fit in there. And the people who built these spaces, I see us in them because they felt different. They had a strong sense of injustice, rebellion run through their bones, and they just wanted to feel free, welcome, accepted, and just express themselves, which I think that it's like a universal neurodivergent experience. And I think this is the reason why we still make up the majority of the dance floor, along with the repetitive sounds, beats that make our brains locked in. Like, I don't know about you, but when I'm on the dance floor, that is the only time my brain is quiet. People used to ask me if I was alright because I'd be a bit non-verbal. I'm having the best time always, but it's just because I'm finally stimulated in a way that is, well, I'm regulated, not overstimulated, not understimulated. I'm just at a level that I can't get to in everyday life. And it sounds like disco, house, techno even, that use those repetitive beats that have that effect on us. And the darkness of the room as well. Like, I will always say I prefer club season over festival season. Potential hot take. But there is just something about being in a dark room where no one's perceiving you. You know what I mean? And we can hear the music so much better in clubs. The dance floor is a place we can just exist without being told that we're wrong. There's no small talk, there's no manual nodding. You know, like Sue from finance ain't telling us about our kids at the weekend, and we're just like, oh, is this an okay time to stop nodding? It's like the only place that our brain can function in peace. It's almost like we were built for this shit. I discovered disco, funk and soul way before my rave boots even touched the dance floor. My dad was always playing Jocelyn Brown, Somebody Else's Guy. I remember the iconic intro, Car Journeys, and the cool notes, Never Too Young, just on repeat. But when you're a kid, you're a little shit. And you don't appreciate things like that. But I do remember growing into a teenager, and I weren't offended when club classics were on the radio, you know, like Fatback Band, Shalimar, entry level soul, you know? So I guess that was sort of the gateway, because when I got a car, then I started actively listening to it, and then I got into Prince, and from there I just became so hyperfixated on music. I started my infamous Disco Funk and Soul playlist in around 2015 or 2016, I think. I'll link it underneath if I can, but otherwise it is linked in my channel and on my platforms. But I remember being obsessed by Change, specifically The Very Best in You. The bass line on that, I don't know, it just did bits to my brain. I remember having that on repeat, driving around the entire summer, and that is still one of my favourite tracks today, I think. And Gwen McRae, Keep That Fire Burning. In London, everyone was on a disco buzz as well around that time. Every afters you went to, disco was on. And I distinctly remember Patrice Rushen, Haven't You Heard, being on everywhere, in every gaff that I went to, in bars. It just felt like everyone was sort of on it around then. I also remember around that time, around 2015, I think Jamie XX released In Colour, and from there is what led me to the dance floor for more electronic sounds. So Bonobo, Daphne, Floating Points, and that era of electronic music was laced with crack. I mean, feeling. That's what, can I even say that on here? That era of music. I've got a playlist actually, I'll try and link that as well if I can. You know, that was the days of DJ Seinfeld and Bicep, and I was already going to disco nights, so I just sort of made the transition from there really, because I don't go to disco nights now. I think back then, Horse Meat Disco was playing a lot. I mean, they still play a lot now, but Late Night Tough Guy, I remember, was about those London summers. Even when I would go to see like Midland play, he was very much on the disco buzz as well. So it just felt like those summers of 2015, 16, potentially even 17, was just very disco-y. Gerd Jansen as well. And all of that started my long-term relationship with the dance floor. But don't you think it's funny how I started there with disco, with funk and soul, and then found my way into electronic sounds? I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but it mirrors history, and I didn't even know. Is anyone else in their 30s with ADHD that's learning something new? Because I am trying to mix. This has been going on for years. Don't you think it is so difficult to learn something new with ADHD? I started in the second lockdown, and I think I picked up the sort of basics, probably teaching myself bad habits. And because I started learning in that second lockdown, it didn't last as long as the first, did it? So we ended up going back to work and I completely lost it. I sold my setup and I picked it up again last year. But how is it that I'm still fucking terrible at it? It is so frustrating to not be good at something straight away, don't you think? And because we have interest-based attention spans, when something ain't going right, it's just so easy for us to lose focus. And I keep doing this thing where I'm almost doing a crash course in it. Like, one weekend every month, I will just be on the decks like all weekend, like 8 hours at a time. And then for the rest of the month, I won't touch them. I'm not learning for anything other than the love of music and like to extend my passion. So there's no pressure on it. Like there's no time limit, I guess, but I really would love to pick it up. But the fact I have started again is an achievement in itself with our brains, I think. I've had so many abandoned hobbies in the past. But yeah, I'm not learning to become a DJ or do events or anything like that. Even though one day I would love to throw like a one-off disco party. If you stay to the end of my videos before, you know the text that I put like Disco at L's, and I also do a Disco at L's series over on TikTok and Insta where I share tracks with yous, but I want like that as a neon sign. I want it to be like an actual like disco at mine, do you know what I mean? Only like a one-off party or something, but I'd love to get to that point. I just want to learn the skill so that I can recreate the dance floor in my living room, because I just think if you find something that keeps your brain quiet, we shouldn't leave that behind, you know? Like, the only time my brain is actually quiet is on the dance floor when I'm badly learning to mix and running. They're the only times. I can't relax or rest or anything, because it's actually torture. I have thoughts fighting themselves in my head at any given time. So for me, it's just sort of having something at home to do, like with the weekend, or just a bit of a break from everything else, you know, a break from our brain. And I'd love to be someone that sort of carries the disco torch. I just want to keep it alive, you know. We just have to keep talking about how our dance floors were built, its roots, the culture, and share the music and shake our cheeks, you know. Like, I want to be someone responsible for that. But I think it's so interesting how the dance floor was built by people like us, who felt like us, who felt like a bit different, like you didn't really belong anywhere. And when you do meet someone who loves it just as much, we straight away know that it's not just about the music, it's actually about being in rooms where we don't feel different. Most of the time, if we like the same music and have that shared bonding experience, we're gonna get on. Most of you are neurodivas as well. See what I mean? Like, we're everywhere on the dance floor, and I love it. I'll tell you what, I ain't going nowhere. If you've made it to the end, thank you so much. I would love to know your favourite disco track in the comments. Could you actually pick? I don't know if I could. Hopefully I'll see you on the dance floor sometime soon. I'm so fired up. So fired up. I'll see you in episode 6.